Now Jane Hunter, Vice President for Strategic Initiatives, will talk with us about how the University of Arizona is planning to continue and strengthen its efforts to transform education and research to achieve wide-ranging change. Dr. Hunter began her career in mechanical engineering and worked for many years in the private sector, managing complex programs that required effective collaboration of diverse teams. As a professor of practice at the U of A, she was actively involved in the establishment of the engineering management program and worked in the provost office on collaborative learning initiatives. Her experience in consulting is focused on leadership and project management best practices. As the newly appointed Vice President for Strategic Initiatives, she'll be leading university efforts in a variety of areas to enhance the strengths of the U of A and bring resources to areas to ensure that the U of A will achieve its strategic goals. Dr. Hunter?
Well, I'm a mechanical engineer, and I should know better than to follow up Poet Laureate. I'm going to bring it down a notch, but thank you, Alberta. What a lovely talk. So, as Anna said, I'm in a new office. It's called the Office of Strategic Initiatives. We did, as many of you know, how many of you had some involvement in the strategic plan? So I see lots and lots of hands, so thank you for your contributions. I too was just one who merrily went along and attended various sessions. But as it got closer and closer, I was talking to colleagues in the president's office, and they made it very clear that this institution was not going to do what we'd done in years past, where we would do a lot of strategic planning and not a lot of implementation. And so there was a very strong commitment early on that we would actually implement the strategies and the initiatives that were developed. And happily, it turned into an office, and I now have the opportunity to lead that office. Anna mentioned when she first started her job, she was ecstatic about the opportunity, and I was a little bit that way my first day. And by about the second day, I felt very much like the dog who caught the bus. You know, it was really quite, you know, it was drinking from a fire hose because we were very, very ambitious in what we're undertaking at this university to really implement significant change here. So I'd just like to share a little bit with you. You know, I got a copy of your program and a little bit about the Haury program, and I was so impressed with the amount of thought and depth that goes into this program. When I read through the values, I thought, boy, we could have used these as we were developing our values, because they are very similar and align very well with the new values that have been established. When I read all about the collaborations and the crossover from communities to research to education and how you're blending all of those things, those are all the things that we aspire to. And I really congratulate all of you for finding ways to make that happen. And it is very much aligned with where we're going. We have 5 pillars in the strategic plan. I think many of you have heard of them. I'll just very quickly mention some of the things that we're doing. Pillar 1 is all about student success. It's called the Wildcat Journey, and we talk a lot about ways to make sure we're bringing the right students here to this campus, making sure that we find opportunities. We're a land-grant institution. We want to make sure that we're educating students from all across the state, all across the nation, and across the world. So we've done a lot in terms of programs that will help us identify the right students and help them get here, and then help them to succeed. So there's a significant investment in initiatives that are revolve around student success. We're developing a new general education program, and again, this reminds me quite a bit of some of the work that you're doing. We're trying to come up with a gen ed program where students can actually find a theme that interests them and really resonates with them. So some of the programs that, or some of the initiatives that you have and some of the seed programs that you're talking about could very easily turn into a series of courses or themes that a student could study throughout their undergraduate education. So that's another opportunity for us to improve the student experience. Pillar 2 is all about research, And so again, this is similar to much of the work that you're doing and relates. Raina and I have spent a fair amount of time talking about how the strategic plan and how the environmental initiatives will fit nicely with other work that we're doing in space, data sciences, and those kinds of things. We find that there's a great deal of interest in the overlap of the research and the education, and so we are finding opportunities to work with different initiative owners to come up with common themes as to how we can move forward in the research arena as well. Pillar 3 is a really interesting pillar. It's called the Arizona Advantage, and this is where we take the opportunity to really take advantage of who we are here in Arizona. We're very unique in many ways, and Alberto mentioned some of the things. Water is present in everything that we do, everything that we study. Where we are situated here in the United States, very close to the border, we have the opportunity to understand border issues in a very real way. I'm sure many of you are well aware of things that have been going on in our campus. We had a really interesting campus conversation yesterday. And these are things that we need to learn how to discuss and really address. And we have initiatives where we hope that we can be the place when people want to learn about border issues. We'd like very much for them to come to the University of Arizona and study those and have a great deal of expertise here. There's other things about Arizona that make us very unique. The Sonoran Desert is lovely and a wonderful place for us to learn about the environment. The expertise that we have in terms of space technologies and the fact that we have beautiful desert skies present unique opportunities for us here. Pillar 4 is about global, and we are working very hard to make the University of Arizona a wonderful place for international students. It's also a wonderful place for our students to explore other places, and so we want very much for every student, not just those who can afford to go 4.5 or 5 years of school, but for every student to have the opportunity to study abroad and have that experience in their undergraduate education. So the UA Global Initiative is looking at internationalization in many different ways. And then our last pillar is institutional effectiveness. I don't know how many of you know, if you're faculty and staff, we now have electronic travel authorization, which is like, man, that was a great thing to change. I see a few people grinning and saying, yeah, how nice. So sometimes there's things that we can do that just make our lives easier. We're implementing something called a CRM, which people kind of groan when they hear this because it's constituent relationship management. But really what it is it's a foundation it's a platform that will allow us to build these interesting applications. Somebody earlier was talking about working with advisors, and right now an advisor will talk to a student and won't have any of the historical record of other advisors that their students have talked to. So they're starting all over, and they oftentimes feel a little badly. Okay, I have to ask this student, have you changed your majors? I don't really have any background. The first app that we'll develop built off of our CRM is allowing advisors to know who their students are and know a little bit about their history. We know that students change majors frequently here at the University of Arizona. So this is just one of the many, many tools that we will now have that will integrate the information that we have. So we're very excited about the things that the strategic plan is bringing forward. We think that we are going to capitalize on wonderful opportunities to have interdisciplinary experiences for both our faculty, our researchers, our staff, and our students. And we think that we have really great aspirations to changing our university. So if there's any questions about the strategic plan, I'd be happy to field them. I think I've about used up my time, but if anyone has any questions, we do have a website, and we have many, many initiatives that we would love to have your participation in. We would love for you to reach out to any one of our initiative owners because there's lots of opportunities for engagement. Thank you.